Alright, Boros Burn. Also known as Life Total Control, if you're a goofball. This deck's been in Modern forever. It's pretty simple. You just cast some spells that deal somewhere between 2 to 4 damage to your opponent until they die. For the most part in this Modern format, because the majority of people are playing fetch lands, you expect your opponent to deal some amount of damage to themselves. So you're not necessarily counting to 20, it's more like you're counting to 17 or 18 typically. So that makes your job a little bit easier. Anyways, this version is a little bit different than the typical list. I've cut 2 lands and included Dragon's Rage Channeler, as well as Mishra's Bauble. That's not typical. Most lists would be playing a total of 12 creatures, so the 4 Eidolon, the 4 Swiftspear, and then the full 4 Goblin Guide. And no Dragon's Rage, no Mishra's Bauble, and they would be up on 20 lands with a couple extra burn spells in the deck. However, I find Dragon's Rage Channeler to be pretty nice in this deck because you do cast a lot of non-creature spells, which allows you to look at the top of your library, and since your whole deck is essentially 1 and 2 mana, putting lands into your graveyard is about equivalent to drawing an extra spell, so I think Dragon's Rage Channeler has a lot of upside for this style of deck. Other than that, I made some balances in the burn spells to ensure that I have a good mix of instants and sorceries to be able to turn on the Dragon's Rage Channeler, playing 4 Skewer the Critic, 4 Rift Bolt, and 4 Lava Spike for 12 sorceries, and then a mix of 12 instants. Other ways to get Delirium in this deck include Eidolon of the Great Revel, counts as an enchantment, and of course Mishra's Bauble is an artifact. The goal of the deck is very simple. The tricky part comes in the execution. Since the length of the game is going to be shorter on average for you, you make fewer decisions than you would in a typical game. That makes each decision a little bit more important. Do I kill the Birds of Paradise, or do I send 3 damage at my opponent's face? Small things like this can add up and lead to a win or a loss. For sideboard stuff, it's all fairly standard. Smash for artifacts, destroy an artifact, deal 3. Great against Urza Saga decks and anybody else who's going to be putting a lot of artifacts into play. Also good if you expect your opponent to have Chalice of the Void. This is a good answer to Chalice to unlock your 1-mana spells. I moved 2 copies of Searing Blaze from the main deck into the sideboard. You bring this in when your opponent is similarly aggressive to you, or you expect them to be playing creatures that are able to block yours or gain life, etc. Deflecting Palm is mostly for Murktide Regent. Soulguide Lantern, I find Grave Hate to be somewhat important in the format right now. This can potentially give you a chance to beat Archon of Cruelty Reanimator decks, which are typically an extremely bad matchup for this deck, but Soulguide can occasionally give you some power against that. The main reason why I choose Soulguide over Relic here is because we are, of course, running Lurrus, and being able to recur a Soulguide Lantern where you wouldn't be able to recur a Relic, I feel makes sense to me. Roiling Vortex is here mostly for the Cascade matchups, as well as Elementals, where they're going to be evoking a lot of Furies and Solitudes and such. Kor Firewalker is great against decks that use mostly red removal. It's also helpful in the mirror if you run into it. Chalice is also only here for the Cascade matchups. This could just as easily be a third Roiling Vortex. One thing I'd like to say about this deck before we start the league is that it is an excellent first deck to build in Modern. One thing to note about the lands, which are going to be the most expensive part, these 6 fetch lands, so the Arid Mesas, Bloodstained Mires, and Scalding Tarns, these could be any combination of 6 red fetch lands. So if you, for instance, want to plan ahead, say after you've played Burn for a while and you've saved up enough to get another deck, you'll be part of the way there already if you happen to run some red fetch lands in that deck. For instance, this could be 4 Scalding Tarns, and then you'll be ready when you switch over to blue-red at some point. Alright, all that being said, let's take this thing through a league. Alright, match 1, won the die roll. Always love to see that as a Burn player. We'll reveal Lurrus. Our opponent reveals Kahira, so if it's control, that's good for us. If it's elementals, that might not be so good for us. I'm going to call this hand fine. It has an Eidolon in it, so we'll keep. We'll play Den first because it has a higher chance of entering tapped later. 3 damage to our opponent's face with Riftbolt. We'll go ahead and play Inspiring Vantage and Eidolon. Our opponent fetches a Raugrin Triumph, so this appears to be control. He's holding up a counterspell, so we'll attack first before we play anything else. We'll go and Lava Spike, and we'll play a land and pass. We have instant speed stuff. We want our opponent to use his mana on his turn, so we'll cast our burn spell in his end step. Okay, Teferi Time Raveler. I won't be able to cast another card unless I cast it right now, so we'll go ahead and do that. We'll cast Boros Charm. 4 damage. Our opponent's at 5, so we have him dead unless he has a Force of Negation. Alright, and it's that simple. We'll be on the draw for game 2. Let's think about how we want to sideboard against control. We want these Roiling Vortexes simply for the anti-life gain mode. And this is blue-white control, so they're somewhat likely to have Chalice of the Void, so we also bring in at least 2 Smash to Smithereens. Let's see what we want to cut. I think Searing Blaze is an easy cut. They don't have a lot of targets for it. Just as a general rule, cutting Lava Spike before anything else kind of makes sense, so we'll go ahead and do that. And I won't bring in all 3 Smashes, I'll just bring in 2. We'll submit that. Okay, on the draw for game 2, we'll of course reveal Lurrus. A 1-lander could be kind of risky. Mishra's Bauble gives us a couple of looks at it, but it doesn't have an Eidolon, so it's tempting. I think I'll try this. I would normally mulligan this, though, I think. Hallowed Fountain tapped, pass. Okay, we drew the second land, that's great. So this is a little trick that you could do. If you have options for lands, you can cast a Mishra's Bauble, target yourself, see what's on top of your library, and decide if you want to draw it. A Riftbolt. I think I am interested in drawing more burn spells, so I'll go ahead and use my Sacred Foundry because I don't have to fetch and shuffle that away. And we'll cast Goblin Guide. Opponent has Archmage's Charm on top. We draw that Riftbolt that we saw. We'll go and attack right away. Celestial Purge, that's great for us. Now we get to put an Eidolon onto the battlefield with no worries. What did he reveal? He revealed a Solitude off of the Goblin Guide swing. Something to keep in mind. He can evoke and get rid of this Eidolon without taking damage. We'll just go ahead and attack straight away. He does evoke the Solitude, getting rid of Supreme Verdict. Alright, and we'll go ahead and, I think, Lava Spike Skewer. He's going to counterspell. Okay. Oh no, he draws 2 cards with Archmage's Charm. Our opponent's at 12, we have 9 points of burn in hand. Alright, since Teferi is in play, we can't actually suspend this Riftbolt. We won't be able to cast it during our upkeep. I think I will Monastery Swiftspear Lightning Helix this turn. Attack our opponent, of course. We have him at 7. And he is quite close to stabilizing. There's a chance that Lurrus will get us out of this. Chalice on 1, okay. Bounces Swiftspear. Okay, with another land, I think what I'm going to do is grab Lurrus. Teferi 5. It's not looking great for us. Okay, we'll try for the Lurrus. I assume he has a counterspell. He does. We'll see if we can draw a Smash to Smithereens. If not, I'll probably scoop it up. That's not a Smash. Let's go ahead and hardcast this Riftbolt then. No counterspell. Our opponent's at 4. He does need to find some way to gain life, otherwise I'll be able to eventually kill him with 2 mana burn spells. There's another Riftbolt. We'll cast. Cryptic Command, counter draw. Bloodstained Mire. We may as well thin our library. We'll go and do that. Okay, he ultimated his Teferi. I would have gone one more turn personally to continue drawing cards. Cast a Riftbolt, I assume it gets countered. If we could find a Smash to Smithereens and our opponent's out of counters, which seems unlikely, it is possible that we win this. Okay. We can't draw anything to win anymore, so we'll scoop finally. All right, we're back on the play. So in theory, while we're on the play, Chalice matters even less than it would have otherwise. So we'll keep just 2 smashes despite losing that game to Chalice, and see how it goes. Reveal Lurrus. Okay, this one seems pretty good to me. We'll keep. Turn 1 we'll play Swiftspear to get the damage out, and then next turn we'll probably play Dragon's Rage Channeler and Lightning Bolt. Our opponent moves to 6. That's a good sign. Castle Vantress tapped. We'll play out a Tarn. Grab a Mountain. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Lightning Bolt you. A 3rd land I'm not particularly interested in. We'll go ahead and put that in the graveyard. Prismatic Ending the Swiftspear, okay. So I think it's somewhat likely that our opponent has Flusterstorm in his hand, so I do think that Eidolon makes a great deal of sense here. We'll go ahead and play that. And then we'll just swing for 1. There's Teferi. Alright, I think just casting Eidolon again is our best bet, so we'll do that. Okay, we'll just go straight to attacks. I assume our opponent has Supreme Verdict. Okay, there's the Verdict. We'll go ahead and play Roiling Vortex and pass. Does need to deal with this at some point. He can with the Teferi. It's probably worth killing the Teferi when it had 1 loyalty, honestly. Alright, let's cast a Swiftspear. Lightning Bolt my opponent. And attack. Archmage's Charm to steal. Okay. Our opponent does bounce the Vortex. Okay, so 1 Boros Charm will kill our opponent, so we just pass. We'll use it on his turn and try to overload his counter spells. Boros Charm you. He counter spells. And that should be game. Alright. 1 match 1 against Blue Eye Control. Not the hardest matchup for this deck, honestly. The only things that they could really do are win the die roll and deal with our creatures 1 by 1, and then stabilize the game with a full counterspell style lockout. We'll go ahead and move on to match 2. Alright, we lost the die roll. Not the best. This hand is basically already a mold to 6. 3 lands is about as many as you want to see, so we'll go ahead and mold that. And we have a decent Dragon's Rage Channeler start, so we'll go ahead and try this out, see how it works. I'm putting back probably Skewer the Critics. Our opponent did not reveal a companion. Looks like it's going to be some sort of a Jund deck, perhaps. Alright, Vantage. Channeler. Mishra's Bauble for the Scry. Another Channeler. I think we'll go ahead and bin that. We already have 2 creatures, so we kind of want spells now. We'll check what my opponent's drawing. Although I should have done that. Oh, it's the Jund Sacrifice deck. Okay. This might be difficult. Sorry, what I was saying is I should have waited until after he fetched on the end step to actually activate that Bauble, so I could actually know what he was drawing. But I did get good info. This is the Jund Sacrifice deck. Renin 6. That's a beating. That is absolutely a beating. We'll Swiftspear. I think we have to kill the Renin 6. So we'll go ahead and Lava Spike the opponent, and then kill the Renin 6 with the Swiftspear. As long as there's a chance that he's actually locked out of mana without that Ren, I think we have to bank on that. He's not, unfortunate. Seasoned Pyromancer. Also not something that you really want to see. He discards 2 Cauldron Familiars. We'll play out a second Swiftspear. If we attack, he could double block 1 and kill it, but we'll clear the way a little bit at least. So we'll go ahead and do that. Our opponent's at 7. Goblin Bombardment, so he will be able to kill one of my Swiftspears potentially. He passes back to us. Okay, we have a land, an extra land in hand that we don't need. I'm gonna move to combat. We'll just swing both. We'll make him do it. He chumps on 1. Unfortunate. Just take 1 damage though. We'll go and shock this in. We'll go suspend Rift Bolt, and then Lurrus to hand. Mayhem Devil, okay, so he's going to be able to kill my Swiftspear or my Lurrus. We'll go and point 3 at his face, see if he wants to kill my Swiftspear right now. He doesn't. Okay, opponent's at 2. That's an Eidolon. He could kill the Eidolon without taking 2 damage, so we will play the Lurrus. Then we'll cast Mishra's Bauble. We do have Delirium. It might be better to get the Dragon's Rage Channeler, although I'm somewhat worried about our opponent being able to kill it. So we'll just cast the Bauble, draw an extra card, and potentially kill my opponent in his upkeep with an instant speed spell. Okay, we'll go and attack. He jumps, naturally. He'll finish off the Lurrus and deal 1 to me, most likely. Okay, and this was a fine exchange for us. We'll check what he's drawing. Another Mayhem Devil. Okay, so we put a stop on his upkeep to see what we draw off of the Bauble. If it's a Lightning Bolt, well, I think we got it. Okay, he deals 2 to himself and goes out on his own terms. Honorable. Okay, against Jund Sacrifice. Kor Firewalker is good. They can't actually target it with Mayhem Devil or Goblin Bombardment, so it'll tend to stick around. A lot of their creatures are red as well, so we'll be able to swing past them with the Kor Firewalkers. I think Searing Blaze is also really good here, so we'll bring that in as well. We'll keep it there. As for stuff that's not great, let's see here. Dragon's Rage Channeler is potentially good if I could actually get Delirium active. We'll have to be a bit more careful about when we play it, so we'll leave that in. I will go ahead and take out 2 Lava Spikes. Actually, yeah, we'll take out 2 Lava Spikes and 2 Eidolons. It is somewhat easy for our opponent to kill those without actually taking any damage. So they lose a little bit of value. Kor Firewalker is a nice substitute. We'll go and submit that. Unfortunately, can't keep a no lander. We'll ship that one back. I think I would call this one reasonable, so we'll go ahead and keep. We'll bottom the Boros Charm. The life gain might be relevant on the Lightning Helix, as well as being able to kill a creature. Cauldron Familiar to gain a little bit of life. We'll suspend a Riftbolt as to not walk into a Ren and 6. When I was sideboarding, I actually forgot about this creature. I probably should have brought in the Vortex. Versus Saga. Okay. So, seeing that and then knowing that my opponent is going to have artifacts, I will change my board up a little bit for this next game. Because I assume we are not going to make it through this one. Bolt my opponent. Get a Surveil. We don't need another land. We'll put that in the graveyard. Okay, our opponent equips. Gains a little bit of life off of the Shadow Spear lifelink. Good draw. Mishra's Bauble. That's a good shot. That's going to be Delirium, actually. Excellent. A Skewer. I think that's fine. It's a burn spell. We'll keep it. Let's see what our opponent's draw is. It's a land. Okay. All right, get in there for 3. Makes a token and grabs a Witch's Oven. Okay, so he'll be able to start making food and looping the Cauldron Familiar. We'll hold the Lightning Bolt to trigger the Skewer. Would have liked to put that in the graveyard, but that's okay. Let's Lightning Bolt. Leave that on top. Go ahead and Skewer. Get in for 3 in the sky. Our opponent's most likely going to gain 4 or 5 life off of this construct token. It may have been an argument to kill that with one of the bolts. Yep, he'll gain 5 up to 9. Oh, and he's leaving 2 mana up to sacrifice the food to gain a little bit more life. Yeah, we definitely needed Roiling Vortex this game. Unfortunate. Get in there and attack. I'd like to draw a land actually so that I could activate Den of the Bugbear and cast the Lightning Helix also. That actually just brings back the Cauldron Familiar. Okay. To make another food. Oh, and then sacrifice the food, right? No? Okay. A little surprising. Oh, Vraska Golgari Queen. I haven't seen this one. I assume they're going to minus and kill my Darcy. Let's see though. Bolt you. Put the Darcy into the graveyard. Land? No land. Okay, we'll scoop. We probably made some poor decisions with what we put into the graveyard that game, but that's alright. Anyways, we definitely want these Roiling Vortexes and the Smashes. Is there anything I want to take out? Yeah, Kor Firewalker might lose a little value here, now that I'm seeing that their deck is a little bit different than I thought it was. Alright, we'll just go ahead and take out Lava Spike completely. And we'll shave a couple, we'll shave the 2 Searing Blazes that we brought in. It seems like it's going to be slightly less valuable. Well, we'll bring in 1, so we have a total of 3. Let's try this out. We're back on the play as well. Searing Blaze, Dragon Rage Channeler, Mishra's Bauble. This is definitely pushing the edge here. Yeah, we'll mull. This would be great if we had a land go to 5. And then we'll go ahead and keep this one. I'll put back Searing Blaze, Skewer, and we'll try this. Cast the Darcy, go ahead. Best case scenario, he plays a creature on 1 and allows us to Searing Blaze. He does play Gilded Goose, excellent. So we'll go ahead and Searing Blaze, get rid of that extra land. Cross your fingers, no Wrenn and 6. Evokes a Fury, pitching Goblin Bombardment to kill the Darcy. Okay. Skewer Riftbolt's kind of unfortunate. We'll go ahead and put Lurrus in our hand, though. I do need to get a Sacred Foundry here, so I'll be able to actually cast it. Engineered Explosives on 3. That's fine. We can't get any value out of it, but it is a lot of mana for him to spend. Yeah, I think I just suspend a Riftbolt and pass. We'll go ahead and deal it to the face. If we draw a land, we'll be able to Searing Blaze the Mayhem Devil, which is exactly what we'll do. Then we'll Skewer. Put our opponent to 5, although he does have 2 food tokens that he's able to sacrifice. Okay, we'll go ahead and get our Dragon's Rage Channeler back. We do have Delirium at this point. Seasoned Pyro. Only scared of that insofar as him drawing extra cards. One of them was a land, okay. So he will be able to make a Construct token. Unearth's Mayhem Devil, okay. He's going to kill the Dragon's Rage Channeler. That's fine. He's at 10. Okay, we draw another one. We'll go ahead and cast. And pass. Probably going to get Shadow Spear here. Alright, I've lost. We'll concede. He's going up to 11. Our options are to make our Dragon's Rage Channeler destructible with Boros Charm, which isn't excellent, or deal 4 to my opponent's face. But with as much power as he has in play, plus the lifelink, we are most likely not going to win this game. So we lost to the Gen Sacrifice deck. This one had a little bit more main deck ability to gain life, which I wasn't expecting, in the form of the Cauldron Familiars and the food tokens, etc. But that's fine. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. I'll see you in round 3. Alright, match 3, we're on the draw. Even with the 18 land deck, we're still having these 4 land hands. I think I'm going to try this one out. It does have a Den of the Bugbear, which means that our mana will mean something later on. And I just want to see if the Dragon's Rage Channeler can pull its weight and do some damage here. So we'll try it. It is Elementals, it looks like. Leave that on top. Opponent's drawing another land. Okay. Voice of Resurgence, okay. You don't see that one around as much anymore. Alright, we drew an extra land, unfortunate. Alright, let's try to hit Delirium here. So, we'll start off with a Lava Spike. We'll put a creature into the graveyard. All we need is land, so we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll suspend a Riftbolt here. We could save the Skewer for next turn. A Teferi would be unfortunate here. No Teferi. But he does have Prismo for the Darcy. That's fine. Okay, a Goblin Guide. We'll go ahead and swing with it. And then Skewer. And play another land. He puts his companion into his hand. Okay, we'll play a land. We'll grab Lurrus as well. And pass. He plays his land, so he doesn't have Omnath. That's a good sign. He just plays Kahira. Okay. Our best draw here would be Boros Charm. We'll see what we get. Another Goblin Guide. Not exactly what I wanted to see. Okay. So we'll go ahead and shock that. Play Lurrus. We'll play Dragon's Rage Channeler. Oh, I'm sorry, it was exiled. In that case, we'll just... yeah, I suppose we'll play Swiftspear. And then we'll play Goblin Guide. And potentially have an Alpha Strike next turn. Along with Den of the Bugbear. He'll Solitude the Lurrus. That's fine. He does have Ephemerate, so he actually kills all 3 of our creatures. All we need to draw is a Boros Charm. Oh no, that's not true. Solitude has lifelink. This one may be over. Fury, okay. Okay, I don't think we have a draw that could get us out of this. Yeah, we're done. Alright, game 2. Against Elementals, I definitely want Searing Blaze and Roiling Vortex. And I think we take out, let's see, Goblin Guide's not great against them. They have too many things that block it well. And then, when in doubt, just trim a couple of Lava Spikes. We'll go and submit. Okay. Game 2 on the play. Let's see what our hand is. Roiling Vortex and 2 Searing Blazes. I think I'll keep this. We'll play our Den first. There's a potential that we draw another land, and then we want to play that instead of the Mire, because we could end up in a situation where we want to hold a fetch land up to turn on the second Searing Blaze. No turn 1 creature. We did draw the second land, so we'll go ahead and play the Vortex. He's got his Voice, which is a great Searing Blaze target for us. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll play the Inspiring Vantage and Searing Blaze. Oh, I should have skewered. Although, no, not necessarily. I do want to hold up the anti-life gain thing on the Roiling Vortex. He shocks. Shocking. Risen Reef, great Searing Blaze target. So we will go ahead and do that. We did take damage this turn, and we're able to hold up the anti-life gain bit, so we'll go ahead and skewer and pass. I'm not playing the Mishra's Bauble immediately because I will take 5 damage. If I do run out of gas, I will go ahead and grab it though. Okay, he played his land, so no Omnath, thankfully. Another Risen Reef, that's fine. Not cracking my fetch so we can't respond to the Vortex. Okay, we'll try to finish him off. Okay, and that was a 0 creature win. Alright, on to game 3. I'm going to keep my board exactly the same. We'll go ahead and submit. You can't keep a no-lander. Mulligan to 6. And this one's decent. We'll keep. If he plays a blocker on turn 1, I think I'll go Dragon's Rage Channeler. Otherwise, I'll go Swiftspear and hit him for 1. We'll go ahead and bottom one of the lands. Probably one of the Vantages. We only really need 2 lands. Okay, no creatures, so we will go ahead and Swiftspear right off the bat. Okay, with that, I think we'll go ahead and play another Swiftspear and then bolt our opponent. Swiftspear is definitely the best creature in the deck. He evokes a Mole Drifter, okay. We'll just Lightning Bolt you. He Force Negations it, interesting, okay. We can't actually skewer because he forced that. I will suspend a Rift Bolt. Voice, okay. We'll go ahead and target him. And Lava Spike him. Force, okay. And skewer him. Alright. 2-1 against Elementals. Dragon's Rage Channeler didn't have a chance to flex its muscles in that last game because of how good Monastery Swiftspears are. So we'll go ahead and go into the next match. Alright, match 4. I won the die roll. A decent hand. 2 Eidolons. I'll keep. Our opponent did not reveal a companion. Go ahead and suspend Rift Bolt turn 1. Alright, looks like the Burn Mirror. We'll kill the Goblin Guide. We'll make sure that our opponent has to use some burn on the Eidolon. Okay, he casts his own guide. I won't block. I'll leave the Eidolon in play. We'll skewer the Eidolon. Take another 2. Cool. All right, now we get to Searing Blaze. I'm feeling pretty good so far. He has an Eidolon of his own. Okay. All right, let's bolt that and play our own. Again, no block. Force him to use a burn spell on the Eidolon. Oh, yeah, I have lethal. Boros Charm, Skewer. Easy game, easy life. Alright, game 2. So obviously we want Kor Firewalker, Searing Blaze, and probably Roiling Vortex, honestly. Just for the Lightning Helix aspect of things. As far as stuff that's not great, I'm not particularly a fan of Goblin Guide here. I've got a couple of him. And then, I think I like Lava Spike a little bit better than Rift Bolt here. No, Rift Bolt could target creatures. We'll keep that in. We'll take out Lava Spike. Because it doesn't target creatures. We also have an advantage simply because we have Lurrus in our deck and our opponent doesn't. If you play Burn, please play Lurrus. Our opponent's also decided on the 61 card special. Okay, this one's interesting. 2 Dragon's Rage Channelers, but not a lot of ways to actually scry unless we hit with the Channeler. There's a possibility that happens. I think I'll mulligan though. Yeah, this one's a little bit more reasonable. We'll keep this. And I think I probably just bottom Roiling Vortex here. Get in for 1. Our opponent bolts. Not unexpected. So second main, we'll go ahead and shock that and play Eidolon. Our opponent passes to us, okay. We will just attack. He paths our Eidolon, takes 2, that's fine. Bolt you end step. Boros Charm you end step. Deflecting Palm, okay. Alright, we'll shock that in and attack with the Den. Okay, go to combat. Swing with a token. Suspend a Rift Bolt. And pass. Boros Charm me. I'll Lightning Helix in response. Lava Spike me. Okay. Let's go ahead and Bolt. And Rift Bolt. Alright. 2-0 against Burn. Anyways, we'll go ahead and move on to match 5. Final match of the league. Alright, match 5. I'm on the play. We reveal Lurrus. Our opponent reveals also Lurrus. Okay. This one's a little rough. 4 lands and no way to capitalize on scrying and such with the Mishra's Bauble, so we'll go ahead and mull. And this looks a lot more reasonable. We'll keep. Bottoming probably Lava Spike. No, I'll bottom Boros Charm, I think. Okay, we'll get in there first with Swiftspear. And the next turn, assuming that the Swiftspear is still alive, we will go ahead and Dragon's Rage Channeler plus Lava Spike. Mishra's Bauble targets himself. I think the best possible draw that we could get would be a Mishra's Bauble to help turn on Delirium and pump up the Swiftspear. Okay, he fetches in my upkeep after drawing with Bauble, so he liked what he saw. He'll shock. I assume kill the Swiftspear? Yeah, Lightning Bolt the Swiftspear, okay. I think I do want to go Dragon's Rage Channeler plus Lava Spike this turn, so we'll do that. Hopefully I see an instant. I don't. I'm not particularly interested in land number 3, so we'll bin that. We're playing against Grixis of some variety. Typically Grixis has a hard time with Burn. We'll see how it goes, though. He has his own Darcy and an Inquisition to take my Eidolon, most likely. Okay, so we both have Delirium. It's unfortunate that he's going to be able to block, but it is what it is. We'll go ahead and play out Eidolon and pass. He bolts the Eidolon, goes to 8, and he has a Ragavan. Okay, so we'll play Darcy, most likely block the Ragavan, unless he has another removal spell. This deck is removal heavy, so it wouldn't surprise me if he does. Yeah, Drown the Block, okay. Ragavan hits and gets a Monastery Swiftspear, that's pretty good. Alright, let's go bolt you, skewer you, and he is dead to a top deck burn spell, which this deck, as it turns out, is pretty good at doing. He's a Rift Bolt up top. Rift Bolt me, wow, okay. Death Shadow, ah, I see. Okay, and then we're just dead to the Death Shadow, unfortunately, so I'm glad he showed it to me, though. Now we know about it. This is a difficult matchup in a lot of ways. We will grab the Deflecting Palms for the Shadows, the Searing Blazes for the cheap creatures. There's not much else I want other than that. Soul Guide is a consideration for messing with Delirium. We'll go ahead and cut Lava Spike. It doesn't target creatures, and we kind of need to keep Ragavan off of the field. So we'll submit it like that and see how it goes. On the play for game 2. And a pretty decent hand. We'll keep. Alright, so we'll fetch Shock, play a Swiftspear, play 2 Baubles. He's drawing a Darcy. One of the cards I'm drawing is a Rift Bolt. And swing for 3. Okay, heat to kill. I'm going to Mishra's Bauble myself, see if I want to draw what I'm drawing. I don't particularly, so we'll go ahead and fetch for a mountain. Spend 2 Rift Bolts. Another Boros Charm, it's a pretty good draw. Alright, and then we'll play our own Darcy with Delirium, and then Skewer our opponent. We'll put that in the graveyard, and pass. Okay, if he cracks that fetch land, he'll be in range of Boros Charm. Another Darcy. Swings for 1. No, that's fine. You could attack for 1. I don't want to have my Darcy die to Unholy Heat. Okay, we'll Boros Charm in response. And get there. Alright. I don't think I want to change the deck. Yeah, we'll go ahead and submit. Okay, this one looks pretty good. We'll keep. We'll play out Darcy on 1. Darcy, Bauble, keep on top. Crack, taking a look at me. We'll Darcy, Bauble right back at you. Don't need land number 3. Take a look at what you're drawing. Inquisition, okay. Goblin Guide. Inquisition. He ends up taking Searing Blaze. That's probably the best card for him to take. Okay, we shock in Sacred Foundry. I think the best usage of my turn is going to be the Goblin Guide because it can attack and then Skewer the Critics post-combat. Inquisition off the top. Is it worth killing the Dragon's Rage right now? I don't think so. We'll take him to 13. We'll leave that on top. It's a burn spell, and I'm getting Delirium here anyways, so. Doing Expressive Iteration, I think? Yeah, okay. He's not going to Inquisition this turn, so he doesn't know about Deflecting Palm. Do you have the Lightning Bolt opponent? It appears no. Okay. We'll swing both. Eats the Goblin Guide. Deflecting Palm doesn't actually prevent this, so Goblin Guide is dead. I will, however, Lightning Helix so that my Dragon's Rage Channeler survives. Swiftspear. No, I think I want to do other things with my mana. I'm starting to get interested in land number 3 at this point. Death Shadow, okay. Another Death Shadow. Alright, so we're forced to swing. Put our opponent to 7. And then we will Deflecting Palm one of the Death Shadows. Deflecting Palm in response to this. Target one of the Death Shadows. I suppose I'll leave that on top. He takes one of the Skewers. Dash or Rag. He gets the land off the top. Joke's on you, haha. Okay, Searing Blaze doesn't quite do it, but we can attack. And jump block one of the shadows. Jump block. And die. Okay, fair enough. I did not think about Eidolon triggering off of Ragavan and allowing him to get 2 extra damage through, or 4 extra damage rather. I don't think my line, no, I didn't have any other way to play that, unfortunately. If I was able to draw a 3rd land, I could have skewered him and then played the Eidolon, and then he would not have been able to cast the Ragavan. He would be at 1 life, so his Shadow would be a 12-12. Yeah, the Shadow would have been a 12-12 and I was at 13, so I would have gone to 1 life and he would not have been able to cast any spells because the Eidolon was on the field. So that would have been a win if we had gotten a 3rd land. But he exiled it with the Ragavan the previous turn, so it is what it is. 3-2 with Boros Burn, and you know, I'm not exactly a proficient pilot of the deck, but I feel like I did reasonably well. I definitely could have played better against our 2nd round opponent, but that's how it goes sometimes. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed.